Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV. Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are doing well. A couple of days since I've been on with something live with with a live stream, and so we're here tonight, and tonight we're going to talk about Leroy Sané. Leroy Sané. That's our man for tonight. So that's our main topic. I don't know, honestly, if there's much else out there to chit-chat about. But Leroy Sané is in the news. So I thought we'll talk about him tonight. Rumours that Bayern Munich once again, said you don't know what to believe. But rumours that... let's just tidy up my... Just going to stick this out onto social media. Rumours that Bayern Munich he signed a 5-year contract with Bayern Munich, and they now want to negotiate a price. That's the story, and they're talking about 35 million quid, which is not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money at all. So it's very interesting. Let's see if anybody's on. Hey, Chris, hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're well. Yeah, so, I mean, I'll show you the picture of Leroy Sané behind me. And I'm all right, Chris. I've had a bad back for the last 2 days, which has stopped me cycling. I mean, I could have carried on cycling, but I'll be honest, even today, and that second day I've not done any cycling, my legs still stiff as anything, and my back, basically, I was bent over double yesterday, even this morning, and halfway through the day, it's still struggling to stand up. And I don't know, I've done a lot of cycling, probably well over 500 kilometers. So I don't think it's the cycling, because earlier, I think it's carrying some boxes from the basement, from the cellar up to the kitchen. So I don't know. I mean, I'm getting old. I'm certainly, I've not done any weight training for nearly 2 months now. It must be 2 months. So the muscles are all gone. Back's killing me. And yeah, carrying these boxes upstairs and lugging stuff around, it's probably not the, if you don't know it. I think if I've been doing exercise regularly, running or lifting weights or being much more active, then I don't think it would have been an issue. But yeah, so anyway, I've had a really bad back for 2 days, and so I've had to take it easy. There's no point, slugging out for another 70, 80. I think it was going to be 77 kilometers is my next stage, and there's no point doing that and then the next day not being able to get out of bed for 3 or 4 days. It's just daft. Hi Faris, hope you're well, buddy. 35 minutes for signing must be because of the crisis that's going on. Yeah, the problem is, Chris, and this is what we're going to get around to talking about. I'll just see if anybody else comes on first. Hi Mark, hope you're well. I don't believe that, Jim, that you've binned 300 quid's worth of toilet roll, because toilet roll is not a perishable item unless you're using palm leaves for toilet roll, Jim. And then, yes, it might perish after a few weeks or months. Unless you're using palm leaves for toilet roll, I don't think there's a problem. Mark, how you doing, buddy? Hope everybody's well on the stream tonight. So we've got Chris, Faris, Jim, and Mark. Okay, I'm going to get straight into it. Bundesliga. Okay, Bundesliga, they're talking about restarting now. I think originally there was rumours of a 4th of May or something. I'm not too sure about that. But just go to the toilet a lot, Jim. Just go to the toilet a lot. Look, so there's the thing with the Bundesliga. Okay, now originally, apparently, I was reading today that Angela Merkel had done this private note to say she wants the players in, I think, 2 weeks quarantine, either before they start football or whatever. I didn't read through it, but with that 2 weeks, it would have meant they couldn't start till the 22nd of May. Then apparently she changed it and it's down to a week. So they potentially could start. The rumours are on the 15th. Is that right? 15th. That's the one. So it's not the yeah. So 15th is, I guess, it's next Friday. So, well, Chris, they are. Look, what they're doing is risky. Okay, there's no question about that. What they're doing is risky because, you know, for all the testing they do, for all the contact tracing or whatever they're doing to keep numbers low, Germany has still had over 7,000 deaths today, or in the last 24 hours, or the last reported number for 24 hours was 197. It's not as if new cases have disappeared. They still had nearly 568 new cases today. They've still got 23,000 active cases. They've still got nearly 2,000 people in a serious or critical condition. So let's not forget that. But I think that the thing is with them, when you look at the new cases, the new infections, they are dropping down. So they're in obviously a much, much better position to come back than England. Okay, so you know, I think the testing is much higher level, and look, they've just done a heck of a better job of it than we have. Let's be honest about it. So they're in a position where they can come back. And so the other things that we heard today was that Bayern Munich, this is coming out, was it Sport Bild in Germany? You know, take as much out of that as you want. But the feeling was that they said he'd agreed a 5-year contract and Bayern wanted to pay 35 million quid for Leroy Sané. And the rumour was that City are not interested in 35 million quid, even though he's only got 1 year left in his contract. They want a lot more than that, and they're prepared to keep him at City. Okay. While City's getting, so his contract basically runs out and he goes on a free. Now, this is how I see it. If we had no football, in the Bundesliga, if we had no football anywhere, then there's a huge risk that he'll go into the last year of his contract. Now, I saw some Liverpool fans actually saying City are stupid to let it get like this, but City have got no choice. I mean, you've got to remember Leroy Sané hasn't signed a new contract. It's been on the table. This is now 2 seasons it's been on the table. So it's not as if City have been stupid and missed an opportunity. It's because Leroy Sané has basically refused to sign a new contract. There's nothing that City can do. They cannot physically force him to sign a new contract. He's still got 1 year left. And the idea is that, I mean, I've obviously we talked about Leroy Sané a lot. The feeling is that Leroy could have waited a year. Okay, he could have waited a year and let his contract run out. But also, there's a feeling that if there's football, and right now, if there was no football, then I could see him. What's the point of signing a contract? Why don't you just let it run out? Yeah, if there was no football. But if there is football going to be happening and there's a transfer window, then I can see the benefit of Leroy Sané somehow working something out so that he plays football, basically. And that the country right now, the only one that's starting up, unless you go to the Belarusian league, it's in Germany. So my point is, if Germany is starting up, then there's a draw, to go there. Okay, and if this is what he wants to go to Bayern Munich, he wants his 5-year contract, Bayern want to pay 35 million. As I said, if there was no football and football wasn't going to start until 6 months' time, Bayern would have just said, stick around at City, we'll get you on a free, we'll give you 30 million quid extra in terms of a signing on bonus between you and your agent, sort it out. But because there is football, there's that feeling that, he's going to look from the outside, I want to go, I want to play. And Bayern might say, well, we can seal a march and other people, we can get him whilst other leagues are not doing anything. Obviously, you need that transfer window to open. And Bayern could turn around and say, well, look, transfer window is supposed to open on whatever, the 30th of June or whatever, 1st of July. So it's not that far away. Now, it could be that no other league is actually playing except the German league when the transfer window is supposed to open. Now, we don't know. Is it going to open? We don't know. Okay. But let's assume it does. So I think the fact that they're playing football lends me to believe that City will ask for more. City not going to accept 35 million quid. Now, it might be that Bayern say, look, let's just get it done. Let's pay, it's your opening offer 35 million. Let's pay the 70 million. Let's just get it done. And if City asks for 70, I think we'll struggle to get more just because no one else can buy him. I mean, there is that problem as well, that if no other leagues are open, why would they buy Sané? Why would you be buying players if your league is not able to play football? And if you don't know when you're going to sign, you've got no idea. If you say to someone like the Spanish league, if they say, well, we're not going to play football till, let's say, the 1st of January, and the Italians say, we're not going to play football till the 1st of January, where else can Sané go? What if the French say the same? I mean, French can't play football realistically till at least 1st of September because the government put kibosh on everything. So if they can't play for many, many months, then they can't realistically bid for Sané because they don't know when they're going to get some money coming in themselves. So it's a huge risk. So then you're only left with Germany, and no other league can afford him. You can't afford to sell him to any other league. To the Greek league, no. Okay, so nobody else can afford Leroy Sané. So that's the only thing that we can City can hope. Starting of the Bundesliga, Sané wants to go. Sané wants to go because he'll. You're looking from the outside. I don't want to sit around here for a season not playing football. Either not playing football because it's not going to be on in England, and then sitting on the bench. Okay, so I can see that happening. Now, whether Bayern Munich will come back with a higher offer, it's all going to depend on finances once again. But I think City can just say, "Stuff you, Leroy. You're going to stay here unless we got what we want." Different, and City could have got 100 million for him. They'd have sold him for 100 million. They want more. I think he's worth more. But if they can get away with 70, I think they'll probably take 70 and say, we'll accept that. Paris clubs have not agreed to restart the PL. They need government backing for that anyway. Now, there is a thought that the schools are talking about the schools going back maybe early June, maybe late May. It's all conjecture at the moment. But once something starts, and then you can get ahead of steam once schools open, something else. But also, it might be schools open and people don't send the kids. So if people are not sending the kids, they're not going to go to the games, and it's going to be behind closed doors anyway. So it's all it's a messy situation. Chris, look, I was talking to Liverpool fans today on social media, and that's what they said. He's the guy they feed the most, as well as Aguero, but not at Anfield. Aguero in Manchester, that's a dangerous proposition, but not at Anfield. Jason, glad to have you back, mate. Do you think Bayern will offer you a play and swap for signing plus cash? Well, that's what you got to hope for. I don't know who that would be. If they offered us David Alaba, I think we'd back their hands off because we're a bit messy with at left back with Ben Mendy at the moment. For me, that would be the ideal, is to get a deal that values Sané between 70 and 100 million quid. Now, if they said, we'll swap your Alaba for Sané, I'd probably take that. I mean, Alaba, off the top of my head, he's what, 27? I can't remember now. So I'm just going to quickly check. So, how much is he worth? I don't know. Okay. David Alaba is 27. He'll be 28 in June. So you could argue that, he's got a few years left in him and he's a good player and everything else. Leroy Sané, he's still only 24. Okay? So in my book, he was worth well over 100 million quid. If Coutinho was going for 140, I mean, he was worth at least that. So the hope for City is that Bayern come back either with a proper offer. I think that's going to be 70 million. I can't see them offering 100. Whether City would take it or not, don't know. But to be honest, selling Leroy Sané for 70 million would make a huge impact on City's accounts. Okay, Leroy Sané is in the last year of his contract. I think he signed 5-year deal, and he cost us about 37 million quid. So amortization wise, his net book value, without going into too much, but just accept what I'm saying, his net book value is around 7.5 million quid. And if we sell him for 70, we make a book profit, a profit in the accounts, basically, of about 62.5 million quid. Okay, so that's going to make your accounts look very, very good. It's going to give you a bit more scope to spend money as well, and buy the players we need. If we swap him for Alaba, once again, I would value him at 70 million or even 100 million. And if you do it and say we'll value him at 100 million pounds, and obviously you do the same for Alaba, your profit in the accounts is 92.5 million quid. Obviously, Alaba, if you put him on a 5-year contract, his amortization is 20 million. I'm just going to work this financial out. So no, it's not, Matt. You don't get 62.5 million to buy players. It just helps your accounts. So that you get 92 and take off the 20. So you got a book profit of 72.5 million quid. No problems, FFP, I think. Chris, my legs are getting better. They're still stiff this morning, but 2 days not cycling because I've really done my back in. Matt, we don't. The money's not to buy players. Okay, I don't want to go into too much of the finances side of things, but for financial fair play, you've got to make sure that your profit and loss account is balanced. Okay, you can make a small loss, but let's just call it you want to break. Let's say you want to roughly break even, and this will help you to break even. It's not what cash you've got, and when you buy a player, I mean, to be honest, we can spend 100 million on players. Yeah, in the accounts, if we got Oliver and we valued him at 100 million, in our accounts, his amortization is 20 million a year. So we might buy him up and effectively pay no money, but in our accounts it'll hit us at 20 million a year. It's not complicated, but it's sometimes not easy to understand unless you're right. Okay. How much do you think we would are in buying? Well, I read it was 35 million they're offering, so we just don't know, Paris, to be honest. City might take 60 because he's only in his last year of his deal, and who else can afford him? Yeah, if clubs are not playing football, they've got no money coming in, or very little. They're not getting TV money. In France, they've got some TV money in, but clubs are not, they're not getting TV money in. They're not getting gate receipts in, and if there's no football, then it'll have an impact on their commercial income. Jim, sorry, mate, but if all your comments are going to be about lockdown, and I think you made 4 of them now about toilet roll and stuff. Sorry, guy, mate, we're not interested. We're all talking footy here, so don't mind 1 or 2 comments. But if you're going to just go down that route, you can take your punishment, I'm afraid. Sané to buy was always nailed on it. I think it's almost nailed on. But Sané did get a new agent. They did come out with new, went to renegotiate. I don't know all about that. I mean, it could simply be that Sané's mates his agent and a new agent, and he wants to give him a lot of money. I don't know. Or that they see that renegotiation with a new agent as a way to get a little bit more money out of Bayern for himself and for the agent. I don't know. Not many clubs will break even. Yeah, absolutely, Mark. But like I said, don't worry, Chris. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. There's no footy, so just let it ride. Don't worry about it. There's nothing you can do to affect it. So if it happens, it happens. When it happens, it happens. So like I said, Newcastle will have money behind them. They will have the ability. Owners just can't pump money in willy-nilly. The benefit to Newcastle is that the new owner, the FFP anyway, is relaxed for a new owner, so he can put what you call owner investment. That he can make up some losses, and UEFA will allow that under FFP. So that could be really good for Newcastle in terms of what they can do whenever there's a transfer window. So, but I think, look, yes, City fans love Leroy Sané. They'd love him to stay. I don't see it happening because he's not signed a contract, and And I said the same when Raheem Sterling was in a similar position a couple of seasons back after the World Cup. Or it was before the World Cup, he wouldn't sign a new contract. There is not the risk, but it is quite true that players do have a lot of bargaining power. Okay, they have a lot of bargaining power and they have a lot of control. So Sterling, I think, held out for a bit more money, and City went down the route that, do you want Sterling to see out the last 2 years of his contract for the sake of 40 grand a week? Do you want to lose a player that's worth 120 million quid, let's say, on a free or cheaply in the last year of his contract? Do you want to do that? So I think they end up stumping up a bit of extra money. And I think the same with Sané. The guy's going to leave on a free if you make him stay. And pragmatically, you might say we'll take 40 million quid. But I hope City don't do that. Sané, he hasn't played football this last season. So basically, he's earned, by the time he starts playing footy again, he'll have earned 3 million quid and not played a game for the first team. Apart from that, whatever, 10 minutes in the Community Shield talk, excuse me, in a couple of games for the kids with the under-21s or under-23s. So he's not basically kicked a ball in anger for City this season. And he's earned 3 million quid out of it. That's his contract, so you can't begrudge him that. But you'd have liked and hoped that he'd have done something. Mark Bell says, if Sané has agreed a 5-year deal with Bayern Munich, I think City should get as much cash. Yeah, that's it. But if Bayern are offering 35 million quid, does City say, well, City could see, there's lots of things to look at. City could look at it and say, we don't know when we're going to play football. If City think we're not going to play football again for 6 months, in all reality, even though the Premier League's pushing and some of the clubs are pushing, if they think we're not going to play for 3 or 4, 6 months, in all reality, because you'll be keeping him up for nothing, because you're not going to get any money out. You're not going to get any games out of him. So why don't you just let him go? So there's a lot to think about, obviously. KVB has said, nah, that's not true, Chris. I don't think it's exactly true. That's not true. Chris, what's your thoughts on Premier League potentially scrapping relegation because some clubs don't like the idea of playing in neutral venues? Can't see it happening. Can't see it happening, because straight away, that gives you 6 extra games. And even if you scrap the Community Shield, and even if you scrap the FA Cup, you can't scrap the Champions League, so teams are still going to be playing there. But you'll end up with 6 extra games next season, because you're going to have to let 3 up. You can't just deny them; they'll sue you to take you through the courts. So let's say you've got to then squeeze in 44 games. Is that right? We're playing 38, another 6. You've got to squeeze in 44 games in, and you've got to finish so that they can do Euro 2020 next summer. So you've got to finish by, let's say, the end of May. Okay? Let's say you've got to finish by the end of May or the first week of June, whatever. So whenever you start, you've got to fit 44 games in. Now, let's be honest, you can squeeze 44 games in. I said you could squeeze 38 games in 6 months, just playing every other week, twice a week. And for some clubs, yes, you can fit 44 games in roughly, let's say, 25 weeks. That's reasonable. 25 weeks, 6 months. So you can squeeze a full season in 6 months. But the problem you've got there is the teams that are in the Champions League, they're going to get battered because they've got loads of games to play as well. So, but I think you can fit it in 6 months. I've said before, you can start on the 1st of October and comfortably finish at the end of May, because that's 8 months. You could do that. You could squeeze everything in 8 months, and Bob's your uncle. But we don't know what's going to happen with the Champions League. We don't know if we're going to like to fly. I mean, you might not be able to fly. I mean, the Italian government, I think, stopped Roma Roma weren't going, but UEFA applied to, I think, to the Italian government to get special dispensation for Roma to fly to where would they play? Sevilla, and the Italian government said no. So basically, it's not essential. Hi, Akram, hope you're well. Yeah, today marks that. I think we're going to do a special next Tuesday, certainly with Bernard. Get Bernard on, trying to get Mike Long from Bolton the Blue on to talk about the last game of last season, which was on the 12th of May against Brighton. And we'll just talk about last season. Chris, Champions League should go ahead. Yeah, but there's still plenty of games. And if you're going to play the full Champions League, it's still, you're still going to play six midweeks. Okay. Then if you get through, you got 2, 4, 6 more midweeks. That's 12 midweeks and then a final. So you've got to squeeze that in, those 12 midweeks. So it's not so easy. Thierry Ambrose, Zidane, come on. Thierry Ambrose, he was, let me remember. Thierry Ambrose went to Lyon, did he? Then he went out to Metz. Now you're testing me here. He certainly went out west in his second season over in. You're testing me. Thierry Ambrose, I'm going to pull him up. Let's see. Hey, come on. You got to love that. You got to love that. I said he's at Metz. I managed to remember. So Thierry Ambrose, he went to Lyon on loan in League 2, played 37 appearances. Then he went to Metz and he only played 1 game for Metz. Looking at Wiki, I mean, it might just be that Wiki's not been updated for last season, but I've got it right. Lens on loan, and then off to Metz, which is out east. Sorry, not west, east. I think I've been. I don't remember going to Metz. I'm sure it's out east somewhere. But anyway, that's Thierry Ambrose. Look, he's a nice. I think all I can say, he's a nice kid. Don't know enough about him. Obviously, how much can you see him play when he's playing in France? And there's just so much on football. There's so much going on in football. Then how can you see anything? How can you see anything about what the kids? Who's watching the French leagues? If you've got the Premier League and all the footy that City play, how can you go and watch Thierry Ambrose? Now I'm looking at this season. He played 18 games. I thought he played more than 1 game. I was looking at Wikipedia and I thought it's not updated enough because I used to follow him on Twitter. So you see stuff that he's posting on Twitter. So wait, I scored a goal or whatever. I don't think he scored any goals this season. But he played 18 games in Ligue 1 and 1 game in the Coupe de France. So 19 games, not bad. But according to, I'm looking at Transfermarkt now, no goals, which is a bit of a concern. Even if you're playing left winger, you'd like to see him score some goals. Harrison, don't know. I mean, it was well thought of at Leeds by everybody. I mean, City quoted 50 million quid for Leeds to buy him. I think Leeds would have bought him if they'd got promoted. They didn't get promoted, so they couldn't afford to buy him, and they took him on again. Chris says, save return to behind closed doors. Will players be allowed to celebrate a goal with all this social distancing? No idea. It's really, I mean, actually, just before we came on, we had a Zoom chat with a lot of people, a lot of actors and others, people working in theatres, on TV and whatever. And we're chatting about what's going to happen to that industry going forward. And honestly, no one knows, because theatres are, there's some theatres in London that have said we're not going to open until 2021 at the earliest. Because if you've got social distancing, you can't, the fans are, football's going to be behind closed doors anyway. But in theatres and stuff, if you're going to have 2 meters between people, even 1 meter, that's going to take out probably 80% of your audience. So they can't make money and they can't take that risk. And my question was, are people going to have to wear masks and goggles? So what's going to happen with footballers? If if the rules are that you got to wear masks and goggles when you're at work, then surely that has to apply to footballers as well. It's going to be extremely difficult. I mean, we were talking about what sports can start again. Well, golf can start again. You know, you can have match play golf, for instance, or you can play golf, but maybe you have to. People have to wear safety goggles and a mask, but or some sort of respirator. But golf could start again. Tennis could start again. And the way I do tennis is I would have no change of ends. I don't know how you can do it with the ball boys and everything else, but maybe you just have one. Maybe you have one person on the net rather than one on each side. Just have one person. You have your umpire. You have your line judges, or maybe you use more computers, more technology to make the line calls. And the players don't change ends because for me anyway, there's that worry of micro droplets. Does that worry micro droplets? Or do you have something like a fan that blows everything away? Don't know. Yeah, and so you can swap ends to make it fairer. I mean, I don't see why that isn't something they can consider. So there are some sports that can come back. That's it, Chris. We don't know what's going to happen, and it's really difficult to kind of work out. We're all it's all conjecture and stuff. Right, guys, I think that's my lot because it's 10 to 10. I'm on a good night's sleep for a change, and get my kids in bed and everything else. But nice of you guys to come on. Thank you very much. And fingers crossed I'll be cycling tomorrow. As long as I don't have a problem with my back. I'm not worried about my legs because they've been killing ever since the start of this week last Monday. But my back, I can't afford to put my back out more than it has been. It's feeling better tonight. I can walk around and do stuff, but Paris says, will players wear face masks during games now? I don't see how they're going to wear face masks, to be honest. I mean, you could. It's really good. I think it's got to depend upon what they agree with the government, and really, it should be the same for everybody. If you got to wear masks at work, I don't think they're going to have. Sadly, the way the government goes, I don't think it's going to be a necessity to wear masks at work. I also don't think it's a necessity. It's not going to be a rule. Sorry. It's going to be a rule to have 2 meters distance between people. Look, you can work things out, but I think the way the government seems to want to go is not to enforce that, because some businesses will struggle because of that. Government don't want to be. Bottom line is, government do not want to be bailing out people on furlough indefinitely. They want more people to go back to work because. And this is the truth here. There are some people on furlough whose companies will disappear once they're allowed to start up again because they're maybe not viable. Maybe their industry is totally gone. If you're in a restaurant business, maybe and you got to social distance, you can't open. If you're in the theatre business, you can't open. And so some people might be being furloughed to take advantage of the government money, and then when that's gone, bang, get I won't say fire them, but make them redundant, or even close the business down. Really tough times, guys. Thanks ever so much for coming on. You take care, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.